My question is, sir, how do you have like such a huge arsenal of knowledge? For example, we as a students, if we have to research on a particular topic or some other thing on our own, so like how what do you suggest about that? Because like you, I think you have knowledge in like every subject.
Not every subject, but yeah. I So how do you do this, right? As a student, see what happens when you're a student is that you have these often very horrible textbooks that you have to take, you to study them, memorize them. And very often the textbooks are written, unless you're lucky, very often the textbooks are written by a writer who's not very good. And if it's a scientific subject, you need to understand the flow. I mean, if you have a derivation of a certain law of physics or equation, you have to be able to see how it was derived. And often they will say the derivation is less left as an exercise for the reader and that sort of thing. And sometimes things don't flow and all. So very often the textbooks are very boring. They are very difficult to read from and all. You end up feeling tortured and you don't learn anything. That's what happens. I also went through the same thing. What do you think? Of course, I went through that. So, how did I acquire whatever little knowledge I have? I was always super curious, and I used to treat library time as fun time. So, nothing was more interesting for me than spending a day at the library. And I would read whatever my curiosity took me towards. So, I would read about history, I would read about crystals, I would read about films, how special effects are made in Hollywood films. Lucas Film. They had this thing called Industrial Light and Magic, a studio called in ILM. So I read about that. So I used to read about all kinds of stuff. I was inherently a very curious person, and that's how. And the thing is this: even if you're reading something that is potentially an interesting topic, it's possible that the textbook or the book you're reading may not be that interesting, and it may not give you all the value that you need. So when you're reading something, when you're studying something, you should have the philosophy that it's okay to forget. It's okay to forget. If I'm reading, let's say, 20 pages, it's okay to forget 18 pages. At least I'll remember what I found interesting. And that's how you build upon your knowledge. So that's always been my philosophy. That's how I do it. And obviously, there are tools and techniques for memorization, which are short term tools and techniques. They will not help you in the long run. So that's always been my approach. And that's how I have learned whatever I've learned. All right, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you so much.